We've researched the set, and we now have our top 10 must-have commander cards from Secrets of Strixhaven.
I'm Mia, and I have bubblegum toothpaste.
I'm BZ. I just bought a year's supply of contacts for the Nitpicking Nerds, sponsored by Card Kingdom. If you think any of these cards are looking sweet, go ahead and pre-order them and any other Secrets of Strixhaven stuff on Card Kingdom. Why? Because they're going to give it everything to you in one package. You're not going to have trouble tracking it down. It's going to come quickly. It's going to come reliably, and they have great prices.
And we're also sponsored by you guys. Thank you guys so much for being a patron. If you want to learn more about how to give Amber a treat or get some exclusive content never before seen anywhere else, check out the link in the description below.
From what we've seen so far, Secrets of Strixhaven looks really, really good. I'm thinking this is candidate for best set of the year. I know there's not the most competition, but I still have to be excited about good sets. We talked about last year, we're going to be excited when things are good. This set looks amazing, but there's a lot to talk about. I feel like a lot of the cards in this set, we'll get into our little preamble here because this is an important discussion. Feel free to skip it and comment something relevant to it. We have a lot of cards that are like specific, but very good in specific decks. I'm going to play a lot of cards from this set, but I might not play all of them in every deck. We're not going to get we don't have the One Ring, we don't have Badger Mole Cub in here, but we're going to be talking about all these cards. We're going to try to cover as many as we can, but first, I think we have to talk about the prepared creatures.
Oh, the prepared creatures. You may have heard some people online saying, is Ancestral Recall in Standard? And let me tell you, it's not. There's a creature that's prepared for 5 mana, in which after it becomes prepared, you can cast Ancestral Recall. And yes, you can play Channel Prepared, but it's not real Channel. You'll still have to jump through some hoops, but they're still cool creatures overall.
Yes, I love this. I love the mechanic. I think prepared is really, really cool. It's exciting to see. But look, honestly, being real with you, we've had such a long week. Yes. I am so exhausted. I am very, very tired, and I just have no patience left for people pretending to hype up cards and getting fake excited over the most balanced, fair, carefully crafted mechanic I've ever seen. None of these cards are broken. None of these cards are better than the card that they are, mimicking on the left or the right hand side. I think almost none of them are going to blow you away. And what we're going to do is we're not putting any on the top 10. We're starting out just sort of like giving all of these cards a low grade internally, and I think what's going to happen is 1 or 2 of them are going to impress us, and we'll talk about it in Overperformers or something. But I don't think any of them, some of the ones, we have the Emeritus cycle, that's Truth, Ideation, Woe, Conflict, and Abundance. They're all casting really cool spells, but I don't think any of them are even remotely busted. The other 2 people are talking about Grave Researcher, that's the Reanimate one. I think this card's actually kind of bad.
Yeah.
When you talk about, I want my Reanimate now, please. And then Yavimaya Bloomsage is cool. That's the one I'm like the most interested in, just because it's the most unique of the cards. We don't have Channel or anything really that close to it, but it's hard to set up. So right now we're starting low on them, and we're ready to be impressed later.
Yeah, I think it's pretty tough because a lot of them are either high-costed in mana, such as the Ancestral Recall one, or you have to wait an entire turn cycle where it's like a sorcery on the prepared side, but it says at the end of your, at the end of your turn, if you've done XYZ, it becomes prepared, which means it has to survive that entire turn cycle to maybe get the effect of the spell later. Not loving that. I think that overall, as you mentioned, the channel's pretty cool. I would like to try these to see if they're better.
But they're fair.
Yeah, but they seem fine. It's not broken. It's not like I'm going to be, rushing to put this in. It's not the new like MDFCs or whatever where they go in every single deck. And just as a little bit of a rant here, I wish they would change the formatting for that Omens and Adventures and all of these prepared look a little bit different. I feel like if I look at a card right now, it's going to be a little bit tough to see which mechanic they're going after.
Totally fair. We had to get that out of the way. I'm excited to play with them. We'll let you know which ones overperform later. Honorable mentions now. Before we get into our top 10, these are cards that we have our eye on. Don't think they're quite top 10 level, but I wanted to talk at least about Mana Sculpt. It looks either so good or so mediocre. If you have a wizard, it's mana drain for 1 more mana, and that's pretty strong. I think there are 4 mana versions of mana drain, and I don't really play those. I don't think they're that good. I think Spell Swindle is kind of bad, and I need a reason to play it outside of just it being good. 3 mana, I think I might still play it, but that's only if it's mana drain every single time, and this is not mana drain every single time, so this feels like a really specific like Wizard Kindred, or maybe if your commander is a wizard?
Yeah, you can flame me in the comments here, but I do not like Mana Sculpt. I think you need to be in Wizard Kindred and very hard into it, or have a lot of wizards in your deck. If you're playing the Dualcaster Mage and the Patron Wizards and all of that, like if you could play Patron Wizard naturally, even if you're not playing Wizard Kindred, then I'd say maybe this is a good candidate for that. But if you're not able to do that and you just have, especially an expensive commander, if you're like, I have a 6 mana, expensive commander and he's hard to stick, I don't think this will be mana drain most of the time, even if you have that in the command zone.
Most Spellslinger decks do have a random glut of wizards because they just kind of do that. I think if you have like 10 wizards in your deck and you're spell slinging, you could probably play this. But you definitely talked me down on it. And the other thing I will say is I really would like this card if it ends up being like $1 or $2.
Yeah.
Sweet budget card. But I know Magic players, and that's never going to happen in a million years. Vicious Rivalry is also teetering on the brink. It's 4 mana. You pay X life to destroy all artifacts and creatures with mana X or less. This card seems so good, but I just don't know when I'm going to play it. We have to look at what is already in the Golgari colors, and I'm always playing Toxic Deluge, I'm always playing Blasphemous Edict, and I'm always probably playing Culling Ritual over this. So while it is good and you can play it, I just don't know how many homes it's going to have for me.
I just feel like when I think about this card, it seems solid, but if I'm reaching for the more expensive ones, like the Edict and, Toxic Deluge and all of that, I don't think I'll be reaching for this that often. I would rather have creature sacrifice effects stapled onto creatures themselves or something like that. I feel like it doesn't synergize that well unless you are actively wanting to pay life or something, or you just have a lot of trouble doing that in a specific pod. I just don't think I will be playing this that often.
Yeah, I kind of wish it hit enchantments. Keep an eye on it, though. It's definitely a good card. It's not bad. And then Silverquill the Disputant, just a little too specific for our list. This gives your instant and sorceries casualty 1. We're talking about these cards in the 99. So as a commander, this is ridiculous. This is a good card. But it does ask a decent amount of you. You have to have a fair amount of instant and sorceries worth copying, but you also have to have a lot of creatures worth sacrificing. But I could totally see this going in a lot of decks. And maybe for me, this would have been in top 10. I think you talked me down a little bit, but that's, I think, honorable mentions.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of where I'm putting it, because in those Orzhov colors, I feel like I'm not often playing a ton of instants and sorceries while also wanting a ton of creatures. I feel like it's usually one or the other.
It's kind of tough.
And so with that balance, I feel like you have to keep the deck in mind. So if you have a commander very similar to this, or you have a lot of those resources available, it might be good in there. But I don't think it's a slam dunk in any Orzhov deck that just happens to have instants and sorceries or creatures.
Okay, with all that amazing discussion behind us, we can get into our actual top 10. The things we usually grade on, there's usually a two-pronged approach. It's the raw power of a card. How good is this? How impactful is this? But also how playable is this? How many decks am I going to put it in? Not just us specifically, but people in general. If this is a medium card, but it's an automatic staple in white, well, that's going to bump the grade up, and it's going to lead to what I would call a good card.
The number 10 one we have is Thunderdrum Soloist, 1 in a red for a 1/3 with reach. With Opus, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. If 5 or more mana were spent to cast the spell, it deals 3 damage instead. I feel like if you're slinging spells a lot, you're going to be playing a lot of versions of this to begin with. The most basic one just says 1 damage to each opponent. I like that this one just happens to have an extra mode tacked onto it, and I feel like it's going to be replacing some of those other 2-mana creatures that do the same thing.
Totally better than Firebrand Archer. I like having reach. Every once in a while, you'll just deter a random attack or be able to block a flyer or something. That's cool. I don't love Opus. Opus is a weird mechanic. It feels, it's definitely safe. It doesn't say when you cast a 5-mana spell, deal 3 damage. You have to spend 5 mana. So you're not getting the 3 damage that many times. I would say, if you're just tapping lands, ordinarily, you're going to get it maybe 2 or 3 times a game. So I don't love it, but it's just better Firebrand Archer with upside. It'll deal extra damage every once in a while, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I also like that it doesn't limit you to once per turn. So if you're going Mana Geyser into a big spell or a couple big spells, which all of these Is It Spellslinger decks love to do to begin with, or if you're just burning people out, you're the Crackle of Power, the Price of Progress deck, etc., this damage will start to add up, and I like this card a lot.
Yeah, the Opus cards work more on the ritual side than the cost reducer side. If you cast a giant X spell for 20, but you only paid 3 mana for it, you don't even get the Opus. But if you're going to be ritualing and then manually casting 5 drops a bunch, that's when this seems pretty sweet. We'll get into the only other Opus card in the set that I'm interested in much later on the list. Number 9, we have Pensive Professor. This is 1 blue for a 0/2 with another new mechanic, Increment. Whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana you spent is greater than this creature's power or toughness, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, and whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on this creature, you draw a card. So automatically, whenever you cast a spell after you play this, it'll be greater than 0. Put a counter on him. And the next spell, probably greater than 1. So he's going to get a counter. After that, it's going to be more and more of a crapshoot just if you're just randomly playing spells, if you're going to get the cards. But this is a slam dunk auto include in any +1/+1 counters deck or any proliferate deck.
This one seems solid. This seems like a power creep version of Fathom Mage, and I'm really here for it. If I had my Atraxa deck still put together, I would be putting this in instead of Fathom Mage.
You would also be putting the X blue proliferate X times. I'm glad that deck is not existing anymore.
Unfortunately, this brought some heat to it. Pensive Professor does mean that you will get a couple counters at least twice. After that, you better have a way to be able to put those counters on manually or be able to just chain into bigger spells after that. But I think it's solid. Getting a couple cards is tough sometimes.
And it's nice that your auto include in your +1/+1 counters deck does come with, if you so choose, an infinite combo. There's a couple different ones. Anything that says the reverse of this, it's kind of the Sanguine Bond trick. This says whenever you put a counter on it, you draw a card. But what if you have a text that says whenever you draw a card, put a counter on it? That would be leveled up wizard class or Lila from Spider-Man that nobody even knows this card existed because it's who cares. But if you have any of those going on, you can draw your entire deck and stop whenever you want, which is a pretty sweet little hammer to throw down on your random 3-mana, Divination Plus card.
You'll have to find a way to win fast after that, but I do like having that option.
Yeah, we also have the option of using Mythic Tools because when we track our life, we can add a little flair to it. Maybe already from watching this channel that Mythic Tools has a lot of different options and utilities for you tracking your life, but you can also add a little bit of flair with some extra animations and custom sort of themes themed around certain content creators. We're not on there yet.
We will be.
There's a bunch of stuff you can do, and it spices up the game a little. If you're sick of looking at 4 squares that are just one color, add a little bit. Mythic Tools can do that.
If you want to learn more, check out our link in the description below and tell them we sent you. Number 8 might be a surprising one because it's this low, but it's still a solid card. It's Erode, white for an instant. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Its controller may search the library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. This is a worse version of Path to Exile, but it is still cheap interaction that also hits planeswalkers now. If you want to get technical with it, I guess you could call it white ramp 2, but that is not the mode that I would be using it often.
That is a mode. I think I underutilized that mode previously in my Magic playing. Every once in a while, it comes up.
Once in a while.
If you're on turn 3, you're missing a land drop, path a token or something. The one issue I have with Erode is how often am I going to be reaching for Erode? I think there's at least some play to this. We did a poll on our posts tab on YouTube of is this better or is Path better? And most people, 75% say Path is better. And sure, but we have Swords to Plowshares, we have Path to Exile. This is a perfectly fine removal spell. If Path and Swords didn't exist, I would be freaking out over this because it's really, really efficient. It's just is it better than Swords or Path? And if not, how many single target, really good 1 white mana instants are we playing? I just feel like it's down on the list.
I've been phasing out single target removal lately because of the fact that we have such more efficient removal at the higher mana levels when you can hit, 1 for everyone. I think with Erode, I was comparing it to Unwanted Remake, the one that just came out in Duskmourn, where I'm this is white for an instant that destroys target creature and then has some benefit. How often am I reaching for Unwanted Remake? I don't think I have. Maybe I would if I really care about having it destroyed where I'm using it more on my own creatures or something like that. But if I'm going straight for removal, even if it's a 90 split of 90% removal, 10% I am using it as white ramp and I would like to get the creature back later, sure, I'm reaching for this over that, but I still don't think it's in my top, 2. I don't think it's replacing Swords or Path.
I don't know how you do that, yeah.
Or even Unexplained Absence. I'm not switching this out for that.
I mean, for what it's worth, I think this is way better than Unwanted Remake, but it's not a card I'm going to play a ton. I think if you care about Destroy over Exile, being I want to hit my own things, or I want their things to go to the graveyard because I have Massacre Worms in my deck that care about dying. Hey, this is there for you. It's still a solid card. I can't say anything bad about Erode. I really can't. Other than Planeswalker comes up every once in a while. Hey, you're going to feel good when you can hit a Planeswalker if that's super relevant over Path to Exile. Number 7 is the only other card with Opus. We've got Molten Core Maestro. 1 and a red for a 2/2 menace. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, and then if 5 or more mana was spent to cast the spell, you add an amount of red equal to this creature's power. So it kind of comes down early. You sort of set up, you play your little card draw, you spin your wheels, and it'll get a little bit bigger. And then if you cast a 5-drop, you get, this isn't guaranteed to have 5 power when you cast the 5-drop, but it's definitely feasible. So let's just say you play a 5-mana red spell and you get 5 mana. But since Opus just cares about you spending mana and not anything else, if you cast another 5-drop with the mana you just got, you get 5 or 6 more red mana.
I've been wondering, are you going to be putting this in Balmor? It seems okay in some instances because you're making your creature big and you're getting mana back, which will let you make more stuff, but it also says you have to spend that mana, and I know you like to chain together a lot of little stuff too.
It's so cool because Balmor alters his power, but Balmor also just wants to scam out stuff for cheap and not necessarily spend 5 on one spell. You can't even split it up. It's not like I can cast a 3-drop and a 2-drop and trigger it. I have to cast a 5-drop and I have to spend 5 mana. That's so fair. You can't even choose to overpay. If you have let's say you have a 5-mana spell and you have Baral in play, you can tap 5 lands for it, but when you cast a spell, you can only pay 4. You can't just overpay. You'll just have a mana floating. It's not how that works. So it might get a little awkward in that deck. I want to try it out, but the real thing that kind of brings this card over the top for me is it fuels itself.
Yeah.
It lets you go ritual, into card draw, into ritual, and it gets more and more mana each time, but it also combos with any red spell or whatever other thing you have if you can make colored mana with buyback. So there's like Searing Touch for red, deal 1, but it has buyback for 4. So that's 5 mana. You can spend 5 mana to cast that spell because buyback adds to the amount of mana spent, and then win the game on the spot with your little janky 2-card thing. There's also Haze of Rage has buyback. Will give your creatures infinity and make you infinite mana. And then there's just like other stuff like Reiterate. You can copy a spell infinite times if you have enough things. But that's a lot of utility on my random 2-drop. People have to respect it. In the late game, this could just end the game with a critical mass combo. And it's not even a 2-card combo, so it doesn't violate bracket 2 necessarily.
Yeah, it seems like really solid. It seems like if you are able to trigger some of the higher mana stuff and play fair in the beginning, you are able to get the high reap the rewards at the end when you have some of those more unfair stuff that you're able to cast later in the game.
Yeah, Opus, don't expect to be like blown away with it. It'll happen, but it'll probably happen a little bit less than it seems like.
Number 6 is one that I think that will trigger quite a lot. It's Merchant of Venom, 3 and a black for a 1/1 with Menace. When it enters, each player sacks a creature of their choice. When a player sacks a permanent, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Now, I think that when you think about Fleshback Marauder, usually it's like 3 mana has everyone sack a creature. We've seen that rate go down a little bit because of a Cursed Marauder, where it's non-token and it was also cheaper. But I like this a lot because it says any player can sack any permanent, which counts treasures, foods, clues, whatever. And this, I think, will get to be pretty big. Now, do you want to be punching too often with it? I'm not really sure about that. But getting that edict on the creature, making it pretty big, and then maybe you can sack it to something later might give you some value.
We already have Chain Devil or whatever that thing's called. It's Slum Reaper. Like, I'm never paying 4 mana for this thing. And they're really testing me. How much juice do we have to give you on a 4 mana Fleshback Marauder for you to actually play it? And essentially, this is a 4 mana 5/5 menace that does the Fleshback Marauder thing that, assuming you're a deck that wants to sacrifice because you literally just did that when you played this card, you can make it bigger and maybe clock somebody. They're testing the waters on how much extra chip damage they can throw in. Because we always say, like, oh, attacking doesn't matter as much as you think, or blocking doesn't, people aren't going to block, like, whatever. But hey, man, if I'm throwing a 10/10 at you on turn 6, maybe we got something. I don't know how good this card is. I think it's okay. Is this card better than Fleshback Marauder, do you think?
I don't think it's better than Fleshback Marauder. I think that the mana really matters. And the best thing about Fleshback Marauder is that you usually sack itself to it and everyone sacks a creature.
True.
You are not sacking this to itself because you care about those 1/1 counters.
I feel pretty bad about that.
So I don't think this is better. I think that this set is kind of varied in power level, but I think Fleshback Marauder, at least for me, would be more of a slam dunk than this.
Yeah, this could definitely be really, really good in certain other decks where, like, oh, I want to sacrifice, but +1/+1 counters, or power matters somehow, or even like the small power matters where you like bring a creature that's with power 1 back. This is a 4-drop, so you could like Revel Arc it back, still get it super big. That's kind of cool. I think there's a lot going on with Merchant of Venom. I want to try it, but we're not saying this card is blowing everybody out of the water. It's worth trying.
I think with the modes of each person sacks a non-token creature or token creature that we see on like Gaius and we see on like a Cursed Marauder, I think that's just what I expect nowadays. I should be able to choose the mode because I don't care that much about punching, and then I should be able to sack it to itself if I really want to, and I feel like I don't want to do that.
I mean, you can. Like, if I'm taking out everybody's commander with this thing, sure, whatever.
You can, but
I don't need the 5/5, but I prefer it.
Yeah, but in the best case scenario, you are not sacking this. With Fleshback Marauder, I don't care.
Mm-hmm. Find a secondary like angle on this, and it's going to definitely be justifiable in your deck. Just like Mox feels justifiable as your way to take all of your brilliant deck ideas and put them on the internet, possibly for other people to see. You can privatize the deck, but you don't have to. And then everyone can see your brilliance that you made Merchant of Venom work in your life gain +1/+1 counters Revel Arc graveyard deck.
You can see any deck that we have ever made, anything from Shuffle Scuffle, anything that we currently want or have, so you should go follow us on Moxfield right now.
Jump into our top 5 with us, why don't you? Number 5 is Decorum Dissertation, and this will bring us into talking about Paradigm. 3 black for a sorcery. Target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life, and it has Paradigm. I don't think it's super helpful to think of this card as epic. Just think of it as its own thing. So after this spell resolves, then exile this spell. After you first resolve a spell with this name, you may cast a copy of it from exile without paying its mana cost at the beginning of each of your first main phases. So you'll go untap, upkeep, draw, enter first main, put a copy of Decorum Dissertation on the stack, target whoever you want, and then probably you, and draw the card. So this is kind of like you get an emblem. Every single turn, you cast a Night's Whisper and you draw 2 and lose 2. And I was like, okay, well, that's really good. You just got to close the game or else you're going to die to it. You don't actually ever die to this card. You may cast a copy from exile. So it really just kind of gives you all the options.
I like that. It is all encompassing and you can't actually die to it, which I feel like on past Magic cards, they might just make you do that.
Well, Epic just said you couldn't cast any more spells ever.
I mean, that's crazy, but this isn't that. And I was never thinking of it as that.
Yep.
I think Decorum Dissertation is solid, but I feel like when you need those cards, this is just such a counter Magic target. If I see you pull this out and I have a counter spell in hand, I am throwing that down. It's like, oh, you wanted to pay 5 mana to draw 2, lose 2. You're never drawing any of those. You're not letting any of those resolve. But if you can get this to resolve, I mean, this is a super solid emblem to keep having throughout the game.
Yeah, it is pretty slow. It's not like this is a good draw, on turn 7 or 8. But if you can get this down like turn 4 or something, by the time you untap and cast it again, you paid 5 mana to draw 4 or lose 4, and no one can really stop it from continuing to happen. So that feels pretty good. You get your tempo back, you get your cards back. Now you can start playing signets and ramping up and making up for lost time because you spent 5 mana on a Sign of Blood. But I guess that also brings us to, what about the rest of the Paradigm spells? We did not put any of them on the top 10. I feel like they're just, they're really fun and cool, and I'm happy to test. I want to play all of them.
Yeah, it's actually funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I was actually just going to go into that. I think with the other Paradigm spells, I'm not that impressed with the Naya ones. The only other one that I could think of that I was really into was the blue one. But I think the wording on it is so weird. 6 mana, a player makes a token of a creature that you have. So you have to have creatures. And usually it's the other way around. If I'm paying that much mana, I would usually like it to be you create a copy of a token copy of something that someone else has or something that someone on the board has. Not I have to have creatures. And also I guess I can give them to people if I want.
It's cool. It's basically just strictly better that you can give them away because you're almost never going to. Just like how you can give somebody else 2 cards if you want with the Quorum Dissertation, but you're not going to. That one just felt a little bit too expensive to put on here, but I want to play it. It looks really fun. It's just like if I have to give you guys the top 10 strongest cards, it's not gonna quite make it.
Honestly, it feels like a fun card, as you mentioned. It feels like Fevered Suspicion. Like it feels
sweet, yeah.
It's like a splashy fun. I'm going to try it somewhere, but I don't think that if I have a high powered deck, I will be slamming it into there any day.
Yeah, the list of cards I need to try from Strixhaven is going to be like 50, and I'm so pumped to get into the massive list that I'm gonna have to make for all of my decks, and I want to see what we can do with Paradigm for sure. I want more Paradigm in the future, maybe.
I do too. I want to try the blue one in Garland. I'm very excited to be putting it in there.
Oh, my only other note, don't buy the green one. The green one's not that good. It's so overrated. I don't know. I want to spend too much time on it, but take it from me. I don't think the green one's very good at all. I think it was pre-ordering at some silly price. Don't pay that. Wait till it drops. It will drop. Trust me.
Number 4 is a card that BZ and I don't agree on the placement, but I think it's pretty good. It's Dina's Guidance. 1 black-green for an instant. Search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand or graveyard, and then shuffle. My thinking is that it's an instant, so you can keep it up if you need to just have mana and you have other stuff to do with it. And when you think about things like Unmarked Grave or Eladamri's Call, that is 2 mana for those respective features. If you put them all into 1 card, I think that the flexibility is pretty nice.
Yeah, this is good. I don't know how often I'm going to play Dina's Guidance. It seems like a solid card. I think maybe I would have probably put it on the bottom half of this list somewhere. I'm still skeptical of it. It's the how often am I going to reach for it situation. Can it climb the ranks of all of the green creature tutors? It's obviously, it's more expensive, but it does more things. And Tomb is the gold standard of search for something, put it in your graveyard, but that only does that. So if you ever want to cast it and not reanimate it or get around it going to the graveyard for some reason, I'd rather have this. And I think Gerard's Orders is it's really overcosted for what it is. So maybe part of it is I'm looking at that card and going, ugh. But this is upgraded basically every way. Dina's Guidance, I will give you a chance. I definitely will give you a chance. It has a ton of potential. It's got raw power.
I know, and I'm just thinking about it where I'm like, how many times have you, the Golgari Abzan Graveyard Man, have had something that things can't go to your graveyard, and
Voidwalker.
Yeah, and you go, oh, this isn't in Tomb. This is called a dead card in my hand now. Yeah, maybe you can have a little bit more flexibility.
I can go search for my Solitude and then Solitude your Dauthi Voidwalker or something. Dina's Guidance, we will give you a shot. You definitely have, you got that juice. You seem like a pretty okay tutor. It's like an Eladamri's Call but with a little extra.
Yeah, and I think that 1 mana is a little bit extra.
And Eladamar's Call is a good card. So easily, I could be proven wrong.
But if you want to protect all these new cards, you should be using Dragon Shield sleeves. If you want to look right about here, we have Amber sleeves on the site, and they are all our artwork if you want to rep us.
They are all our artwork. That's their slogan. Check it out. Use code NERDS to save 5% on all of your other purchases. Pretty sweet deal. I'm really excited about number 3. I'm going to be putting this in most of the Boros decks that I have built because we have what Boros Charm dreams it could be. We don't like that card for reference. This is Lorehold Charm. White-red for an instant. Choose 1. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token artifact of their choice. Return target artifact or creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn. I think charms in general can be tricky for people to evaluate because they do a lot of different things. But what I want on a charm is I want it to do things that are different. Each mode, I think, should be helping me in a different part of the game. If all 3 of the modes of the charm only help you when you're ahead or winning, that's not a flexible card. It just looks like a flexible card. This has, if you're behind, you can reanimate one of your things that's lost or gone, or that also works if you're ahead, by the way. If you're ahead, though, the mode I'm looking at is +1/+1 trample, maybe change the combat math, get some evasion, get some extra trample in there. And then if you're at parity or working, or even if you're behind, you can catch up a little bit by 3-for-1ing them and taking out their mana rocks.
This is so solid. I'm so excited to be playing this. I think that when I'm looking for evasion and things in combat, we're looking at things like Moonshaker Cavalry lately, where it's like, this is great for evasion and extra stats, but flying doesn't always get the job done. Being able to have trample in Boros is so nice, and having the mana target creature or artifact 2 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield is super flexible. But how many times have we used a Pick Your Poison? People have just sacked a mana rock and just been out for at least a couple more turns.
Look, I know it's not the flashiest thing in the world to start taking mana rocks off the field, but haven't you ever been the player who has a mana rock blown up by a random Rexage or something, where the player goes, I had nothing better to do, and you're just like, I just wasted my entire turn 2. I can't play my 4-drop on turn 3. I feel like you feel kind of crappy about it. You're like, dang it.
I have taught people lessons with Pick Your Poison because of people keeping 1 land Soul Ring hands going, I could cast my 3-drop on turn 2. As soon as that gets blown up, your entire plan is derailed. And a lot of people keep hands off of that because you wouldn't expect it to get blown up. But this will throw people off if you have 3 Soul Rings across from you, or if you want to keep it late game. I like that it's good at every stage in the game.
Taking out signets is good. Getting rid of 6 mana worth of signets on the end step with your spell that does other things if you want, super sweet. This just feels so stapley to me. It's not going to blow everyone away. It just feels like a rock solid workhorse that is like great in your instant speed slot. I mean, single target removal. Is it dying? I can just do triple that with all of my spells. They just keep giving me Soul Shatter, and they keep reincarnating it as different spells.
And I'm going to play all of them. Cheaper too.
Yeah, I'm going to play this card so much. This just seems amazing. It's everything I've ever wanted. Please stop playing Boros Charm. That is a side attack.
Number 2 is one that I didn't want to put this high, but the more I read it and the more I thought about it, the better it was. It's Witherbloom the Balancer. 6 black-green for a 5/5, but you're never paying that because it has affinity for creatures. It costs 1 less for each creature that you have. Flying, Death Touch, doing whatever. Instants and sorceries you have affinity for creatures. That's the most important part. This thing makes itself way less mana, and then every single spell you cast has less mana to be spent into it. That is crazy. This is an insane card, and I am not afraid to put this into my decks because I'm never paying that 8 mana cost.
And we mentioned way back with Silver Quill, this is not a Commanders video. We're going to maybe do an entire different Commanders video where we rank all the Commanders, but this is in the 99. I think if you're just a Golgari deck that can make creature tokens or has 30 creatures, don't you just play this? And then all of your spells it just super mega ramps you. You know, like it's a 2 mana 5/5 that if you're at parity in a board stall or ahead is just completely ridiculous. Like, yeah, it's bad on empty board. Play your other spells.
Your Stinging Study costs 1. Your Breach the Multiverse costs 2 if you have enough creatures.
Like your
this
Torment
is
to Hellfire,
crazy.
Torment to Hellfire X equals the number of creatures you have?
That's crazy. I like this card a lot. I want to be putting this into Baitor. I want to be slamming this into other decks. I want to make a deck around this. Maybe not as Commander because I feel like that is pretty big right now, and I don't know if I want to fall into the same rabbit hole as that. But it's a good card, and I might.
This deck looks busted as a Commander. I have a Beladros Witherbloom, the original deck. And I'm just like, the more I think about it, that deck has giant X spells, ways to make mana, a bunch of stuff, more random creatures, pest tokens. I'm just going to play the Witherbloom in there. Maybe if I'm feeling frisky, I'll just switch them. It feels like I can almost just switch them at will, which means Witherbloom is going to be fitting into some of your decks. And man, I know it's going to be an expensive one, but I'm going to be biting the bullet because this card looks very good.
I'll be buying it too. We're going to have to get a couple copies.
Oh, speaking of infinite combos, because this is the set that is full of infinite combos, I guess. If you have Sprout Swarm in your deck, also, those will go infinite if you have enough creatures. You can pay the buyback and just get infinite tokens, and then all of your instant sorceries will cost infinity less if that matters, but you also just have infinite creatures and you can do it on the end step. So that's another note. Maybe we'll be seeing a lot more infinites when Strixhaven drops, a couple of months after when people build their decks. And I'm not even against that. I think diversifying ways to win the game is cool.
Yeah, I don't think that it's bad to have these infinite combos. I want to see more because the thing I hate most is dirtly decks. The ones that just say, oh, well, you have 20 mana, you have 20 cards in your hand. What are you going to do?
Give me
it's
3 turns.
I don't know. You'll be sorry, though, when I draw the right card.
In 3 turns, you're going to be so sorry. Okay, number 1, if you know the Nitpicking Nerds channel well enough, you probably already predicted this because we value consistency and we value good mana. The Turbulent Lands are number 1, and it's not even close. Mia, what do they do?
They are a set of lands that are fetchable. We are going to be using Turbulent more as an example. This is a Plains Swamp, so it's able to be found off of all your fetches. This land enters tapped unless your opponents control 8 or more lands. Now, this does not say each opponent controls 8 or more. It is a combined amount, so this will be able to be coming down untapped on turn 3, so long as you are not the first person in turn cycle.
Yeah, your opponents need to have taken 2.67 turns each, or whatever the math ends up being. A lot of the time, these are very similar to like Shattered Sanctum, where if it's your 3rd land, there's a good chance it comes in untapped. If it's your 4th land, always untapped, unless your opponents are not there, which you're probably going to win anyway. Or maybe you should go find a pod. What are you doing sitting playing alone? This is fetchable, and it's really honestly as close as we're going to get to the original dual lands in Commander. I like, as soon as I saw these, I went, oh crap, we need like 50 of these.
Oh, of course.
Already. Please don't, Wizards, don't release the allied ones for like 5 years. I'm gonna need the full 5 years to get them that many Turbulent Lands because these are only enemy colors. Golgari, Orzhov, are you kidding me?
See, what I'm curious about is that when people start asking me things like, why aren't you playing more basics? And then they print stuff like this every, 4 sets or something. Why are you still playing that many basics unless you're playing single color ones? If you have a 3 or 4 color deck and you have ways to fetch it, even the cheap fetches nowadays, the ones that come in tapped, if you don't want to, shell out the money for Polluted Delta and all of that.
Bad River, yeah.
Yeah, you are still able to fetch these amazing lands that can come in untapped so long as you're late enough in the game, and you have a way to make a very robust mana base for, very easily accessible. These are in precons.
Yeah, I don't know where the price is going to settle. No matter what it is, I need 15 of them, so please, fingers crossed. Please. Oh boy. But yeah, I think like the green one, the green, blue, and the green, black ones, you can find it with Wood Elves. You can find it with all that stuff. You can enchant it with Utopia Sprawl. These have tons of other upsides, even outside of fetching. Plains is very relevant for like your Night of the White Orchids and your other weird, like there's all of those catch back up from
Field
behind.
Of the Dead type decks.
Field of the Dead. It doesn't say basic, so you can only play one. So I guess that's...
Yeah, Field of the Dead mana bases, that's what I'm always thinking about in this household.
Every land that comes out with a unique name has synergy with Field of the Dead. If they print a new card called Overgrowth Tomb, that does not have synergy with Field of the Dead. But you're going to need all these lands. They're so good. I think... the first turns 1 and 2 entering tapped is a little bit of a bummer, but I think it's offset by the fact that for the other 75% of the game, these are just dual lands. They are fetchable. They have all the upsides, all the bells and whistles. I love it.
If you're playing casual, then this is going to matter to you. I mean, if you think about like sweaty, fast combo decks versus like slower ones that are able to dirtle, we're not playing the fast lands in most of our decks, but we are definitely playing the Shattered Sanctums and, all of those. So we're going to be slamming these into our decks.
My hope is that CEDH doesn't care about this because they're too slow or something. I think that might be the case.
I don't think they do.
I just want nobody to care about this except for bracket 2, 3, and maybe light 4 gamers, and then we're going to be eating good. Get your Turbulent Lands, wait for them to drop, and then you strike, and your decks will be much better.
And if you want to see any more of our reviews of Secrets of Strixhaven, check out this precon review right here.